Welcome back to another edition of the 4Ps. This is episode 90. Now, for a content series that has no objectives, no real strategy, certainly no investment in equipment or talent, there are no KPIs and no real amplification beyond just word of mouth and your love. I think we're knocking this out of the park, don't you? This morning, I accidentally took my wife's multivitamin for women instead of my own. Now, this formula for women is different than the formula for men in ways that I'm not quite scientifically confident in talking about, but my guess is there are different vitamins and hormonal supplements in hers that are not in mine, and vice versa. So if I suddenly start making sense or speaking credibly, or diagnosing your medical issues and ailments, now you know why. So here we are in the middle of October, just a couple of weeks away from Halloween. And for the first time in my life, at least my cognizant life, I will not be wearing a Halloween costume. Now, over the past 5 or 6 years, we've had family-themed costumes for parties and school parades and trick-or-treating, and the kids, the dog even, and my wife and I would dress up as some consistent, fun family theme. And even though the kids and my wife have thus far coordinated for themselves this year, I'm just not sure that there is a role for me in this, nor do I think I have the time to create something from scratch. I could probably force something. I just don't think it's worth it. Now, last year we got the dog into it with our first family of 5 Star Wars costumes, with the dog being Yoda. Of course, I still have 2 weeks to go change my mind, but maybe the scariest, spookiest, most clever costume I can wear this year is suburban middle-aged dad. As any of you who tuned into about 10 or so of these previous episodes will know, my company spent a few months at a WeWork in Manhattan before moving into our own place. Many pros and cons, but many of us loved the WeWork phone booths. There are these private little phone booths where you could bring a laptop and have a private, intimate, quiet conversation. And while they weren't always clean, at least we could have phone calls with some peace and quiet. Now, who knew that they were so unhealthy? As if WeWork didn't have enough problems, many of which I predicted and talked about here. This week, the company emailed members, and I am still getting those emails for some reason, but turns out that about 1,600 phone booths in their locations were found to have had elevated amounts or levels of formaldehyde, which it warns could have health issues for people exposed. Now, formaldehyde is a gas. You wouldn't necessarily know that you're breathing it in. But affected phone booths, they say, are being taken out of service immediately. I don't know which ones they were. I don't know if I was in one of them. But even short-term exposure to formaldehyde at elevated levels can cause acute temporary irritation of the nose, the throat, the respiratory system, including coughing or wheezing, which are certainly symptoms that I had a lot of while I was there. I chalked it up to dust and allergies, but who knows? Now, these effects are typically transient and usually subside after you remove or move away from the formaldehyde source. And again, while it's not clear which WeWork locations contain the affected booths at this point, it prompted me to do my own research. And it turns out that we ordered our own phone booths for our new office about 6 weeks ago that are arriving this week. Now, it's a totally different manufacturer than the one that provides the phone booths for WeWork, thank God. But does anyone know how you even test for formaldehyde? I know people are very passionate about their favorite weather apps. Most people use the weather.com supplied app. I've personally never loved it. Dark skies was fine. Lightning I actually love in the summer. It's great. Tells you when thunderstorms are coming. But over the past few months I have tried and really taken a liking to something called Climatecell. Climacell. Gives you alerts the night before, lets me know how to think about dressing and whether or not to bring an umbrella, right? Because I can't think straight at 5:30 in the morning. Now, what I also like is that it's not trying to do too much. They don't futz around with the design or the UX, no ads. And I love the swipeable stories feature, which gives you the option of seeing your weather forecast like an Instagram story. Now, I know Climatecell sounds like a teenage acne medicine, but Climatecell, it's great. Available for pickup at local pharmacies like CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, Target, and Walmart. Actually, no, it's just available at your favorite app store. Download it now. I think it's safe to say at this point that most people knew that Donald Trump was a dangerous combination of ignorant, incompetent, and probably corrupt. But so rarely has it been as dangerous to our national security as last week's decision to withdraw support for the Kurdish people in Syria, a move that was immediately followed up as almost like a green light for Turkey to begin attacking the Kurds. Now, even before the U.S. troops withdrew, putting our soldiers directly in harm's way, by the way, further destabilizing a region leading to the resurgence of ISIS, they should have realized that this was a mess entirely of our own making. But all the attention in the region also highlights so many of the terrible actions that are taking place there. As the New York Times reported this week, Russia bombs Syrian hospitals. It was long suspected, but no one had been able to prove it until now. The New York Times obtained thousands of Russian Air Force recordings that directly implicate Russia in at least 4 hospital attacks over just a 12-hour span. The reporting shows how Russia repeatedly violated one of the oldest laws of war. So if you're confused about who the good guys and the bad guys are here, you're not alone. Syria is a multi-sectarian country made up of lots of different groups of people. So is Turkey. Russia, not so much, not so good. The U.S., though, it turns out also is kind of caught in the middle of this. We are withdrawing troops. The Turkish have invaded and are bombing the Kurds, but we still have troops there. So U.S. troops are literally being bombed right now by Turkish people. So this is confusing. But it's very clear that Russian and Turkish presidents, not good guys. President Trump's abandonment of the Syrian Kurds, also not a good move. And what's so alarming is that all of this betrayal and unpredictability could have been predicted. And with that, let's get our show on the road. Like literally, my train is about to leave in 2 minutes.